Sometimes emotions can feel incredibly intense, like on a scale from 0 to 10, your anger level is at 100 or your despair is at 100. And in those moments, it's extremely hard to be moving towards our goals and our values. And the best thing that we can do, the thing that we can manage, is to try and not let that ruin all the great work that you've been doing. So if you're someone who sometimes struggles with big emotions and being able to navigate them in a way that feels good for you, then I think this is going to be a great video because today we're going to be talking about distress tolerance skills. What are the evidence-based strategies from dialectical behavior therapy for us to be able to navigate these really big emotions when we're in crisis mode and be able to survive them so that we can continue moving towards a life worth living. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Parky and I've been a therapist for a while now, and dialectical behavior therapy is one of the modalities I have a lot of experience in. I'd love to share some of those skills with you today. So there are a lot of different strategies from DBT that can help us manage sort of crisis situations where we're feeling very, very overwhelmed and in distress. And one of them is called the TIPP skill, which stands for temperature, intense exercise, paced breathing, and progressive muscle relaxation. So the T stands for temperature, where essentially we're trying to expose our face to some sort of cold water. And you can do this in a number of different ways. You can splash your face with cold water. You can get a tub of ice water and put your face on it. You can just get a couple ice cubes and kind of just move it around your face, or an ice pack, but something like that that allows for us to activate the dive reflex or stimulate our vagus nerve, where essentially by stimulating this dive reflex, our body moves into a parasympathetic mode where the heart rate slows, our breathing slows. And this is actually a really powerful technique, even though it sounds a little silly, a little bit simple, for reducing sort of these crisis emotions and bringing us back down to a more reasonable baseline that we can cope and act more effectively. The I stands for intense exercise, where we're basically taking all the sort of crisis emotions, strong emotions, all that sort of energy, pent up energy in our body, and activating it and releasing it through intense exercise. So this can be done in a number of different ways. You can be sprinting, you can be doing jumping jacks, you can be running in place, you can basically do whatever you want, even push-ups, whatever that might be for you. But it's a really powerful way for us to basically release the pent up energy, the crisis energy, and be able to do so in a more effective way rather than, maybe yelling at somebody or breaking stuff. So by using intense exercise as a placeholder, this allows us to use up that energy in a less harmful, harm reduction way. P stands for paced breathing, where we're essentially taking a moment to slow down our breathing, really breathing into our diaphragm. And the way that you can do paced breathing can be totally up to you. Some people like box breathing, where they inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and another hold for 4 seconds. Others prefer other types of counting. Like for example, some people like to do the 4-6-2 method, where they breathe in for 4 seconds, exhale for 6, and then hold for 2 before they do it all over again. And the last P stands for progressive muscle relaxation. And the idea behind this relaxation technique is to take certain parts of your body, like your arms or your face or your chest or your, wherever it might be, to tense it up as much as you can and then let it go. And then to do that with all parts of your body until you've kind of gone through it. And that allows us to kind of take sort of the energy and then release it. So that is one strategy that can be helpful for reducing kind of like these crises emotions. So alongside the TIPP skills, another way to kind of tolerate distress, another strategy, is the soothing ourselves with the 5 senses, where essentially we're taking one of the 5 senses, whether it's seeing, whether it's smelling, whether it's hearing, whether it's tasting, or whether it's touching, to be able to calm ourselves in the sense that we know best. Like for example, for me, I might really enjoy looking at the trees. There's some trees outside right now I can take a look at, and that's soothing for me. For other people, it could be smelling a nice scented candle, or taking a warm bath, or holding their favorite towel, or tasting something they really enjoy. Whatever it is for you, to find something that you know is soothing and calming, and to do that thing during those times of kind of strong emotions, so that you don't engage in something destructive or unhelpful or problematic towards your goals until you're kind of at a moment where you're able to then act effectively. And distress tolerance can come in a lot of different forms, right? Like for example, maybe you're waiting on the results of a job application or program that you applied to, or maybe your house is kind of flooding and you're waiting for the person to kind of repair the thing. So in those moments, there's nothing you can really do to change the environment so far that you can't really solve the problem. You simply have to wait and sit with that distress. And there are some things that we can do to improve the moment. And improve the moment, improve is actually a fun little acronym that we use in DBT, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. So the I in improve stands for imagery, where we're essentially we might close our eyes and we might bring ourselves to a place that we know gives us comfort and safety. Like some people have like a safety room that they've made up in their minds that allows them to kind of feel a little bit more secure and comfortable. It could also be bringing yourself into a pleasant garden or to the beach or wherever it might be. But sometimes just allowing our mind to float away and be somewhere else in that very moment can help reduce the stress and keep us feeling a little bit more safe and protected and regulated. So the M stands for meaning. So sometimes people find purpose in struggling, in the pain, in the suffering, because they feel like this is something that ultimately will allow them to become a stronger person afterwards. Or for other people, they find meaning in it because they think, their life is like a story, and without kind of like these crises and these challenges, to be able to sit through them and have these problems, that's not really kind of like the hero's journey. We need something to, obstacles to address and things to resolve for us to really feel like this was a worthwhile journey. So if there's any way for you to find meaning in those hard circumstances and situations, then that can be one way to tolerate the distress. So in a similar vein, the P stands for prayer or spirituality. So for some people, they think of a sort of higher up power or God or something about their spirituality that allows them to, again, see meaning in these hard circumstances. This may or may not resonate for some people, whether it's from a religious sense or a spiritual sense, but if there's a way to connect to what's happening in your current life with some greater purpose or a reason why, that can often help reduce distress and reduce a sense of suffering, at least unnecessarily. And the R stands for relaxation. So very similar to the paced breathing or the progressive muscle relaxation. If there's any way that you can do a few minutes of meditation or guided practice every single day at a time that works really well for you, even if it's for a minute or two, even if it's just for a few breaths, that can over time help us feel a little bit less vulnerable to the stressors in our lives. The O stands for one thing at a time. So oftentimes it's very easy for us to feel overwhelmed. Like if we have a big project coming up, we're thinking about the whole mountain of work that needs to be done. And that can, of course, feel very overwhelming and suffering increases. But one thing that can be really helpful is to just focus one step at a time. Can we break this bigger task up into one sentence or one paragraph? Like, for example, when I used to be doing my dissertation, I'd be thinking about this 200-page essay or thing that I have to write, and that behemoth would make me feel paralyzed. So one thing that really helped me was to say, okay, instead of thinking about this whole thing, I'll just think about one paper or one chapter at a time, one paragraph at a time, one sentence at a time. And that helped me to kind of continue moving as I moved my way through that entire marathon. So the V stands for vacation, where essentially you're basically saying, okay, you know what, like this is really, really hard right now. And I'm not running away. I'm not going to disappear for 30 days or anything, but I really do need a mental reset, like a small vacation. That would be really nice. So for maybe the next 3 hours, I'm going to turn off my phone. I'm going to go to my quiet space. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to do something just for me that allows me to feel nourished. And then I'll get back into the crisis afterwards, because maybe right now there's just nothing to be done. I need to be waiting for the results of my job application. So in this very moment, I'm not going to apply for anything just yet. So maybe for these next couple hours, that's me time to take a mini vacation. And finally, the E stands for encouraging. Can you give yourself a little bit of self-compassion? Encourage yourself to say something nice, that you are doing a good job. You're sitting with like something that's very hard and is not controllable in the moment, and you're doing a great work. So maybe giving yourself a little bit of that compassion. And the reason why this is helpful is because when we feel self-critical, we often feel even worse. We feel disappointed with ourselves. We feel ashamed. So is there a way, in a way that's valid and honest and truthful, to give yourself just a little bit of extra encouragement during these trying times? So now that you have a bunch of different strategies for distress tolerance, like the TIPP skills, self-soothe with the 5 senses, as well as improving the moment using the IMPROVE acronym, there's a number of different things that you can do during these crises emotions. And one thing that can be helpful is to certainly practice these skills in less crisis, less intensive situations, so you're kind of building up your muscle early on so that when the big kahuna hits, you're ready and practiced. And some of you might ask the question, well, there's so many different tools. Which one should I use? So I would actually say be curious and experiment. So there might already be ones that you might think, oh, that would be kind of interesting. I think that would really work for me. In those cases, you might start with those ones. If you're like, I actually have no idea which one would be nice for me, I would give yourself the willingness to try it all out and decide the ones that feel right for you. If there's any that feels particularly good, keep them in your back pocket. If there are ones that you're like, I don't really resonate or vibe with that, you can kind of just toss it by the wayside. Ultimately, I want to make sure the clinical tools that you have for your daily life are the ones that best resonate for you. I hope you found these tools helpful. If you did, I encourage you to subscribe, because I'll be continuing to talk about different therapy tools that you can incorporate into your daily life down the road. Take good care. Bye bye.